Okay, good morning. Let's go ahead and get started today. Welcome back. First of all, I have entered all of the attendance up through today. Give that a double check and just make sure that that's accurate. Second of all, if you gave your interview on Monday, your grades and comments are up on those. So thank you for doing that and getting us started on that. So today we've got another round of survey interviews. We'll start with Audrey and Gabriel, then we'll go with Wyatt and Milton, and then we'll have the trio of Mark, Thomas, and Lily. So as we're getting ready and getting started, just as a reminder, if you are not participating in an interview today, I'll ask that you work on completing for 2 interviews your responses to these questions for your attendance. Any questions before we get rolling today? Awesome. So you're welcome to use and arrange the front table however you see fit. So we will have our first pair of Audrey and Gabriel will get us started for the day. As a reminder, it's 8 minutes. I will let you know with hand signals when you have 4, 3, 2, 1, and when you're at the maximum of 8 minutes. All right.
Oh. All right.
Hello, my name is Audrey. Thank you for participating in this interview. This interview is being conducted for the purpose of gaining information about being a student at UU. Your responses will be presented to UU's president and administration. Do you have any questions before we begin? Let's start with some basic information. What is your year in school?
C.
What is your intended major or minor?
Business and communication.
Are you currently living on or off campus?
On campus.
And why did you choose UU?
Well, I picked because it was closer to home than a lot of my alternatives. I had some family members recommend it, and it was less expensive than equivalent colleges in the area.
You mentioned that your major was business and communications. What do you plan on doing with your degree?
Well, I'm actually not going into business. I'm going to law, but I need a degree before I can go to law school even. So leads into it.
Do you feel as though your classes and professors have prepared you for your future career?
Yeah, I feel like they've got a pretty good business program at UU. They've done a good job.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least helpful and 10 being the most helpful, how helpful have your professors been at helping you achieve your goals?
Oh, we don't. It's a mixed bag, but I feel like on average, they're probably around 7. Pretty good.
Are you a part of any sports or clubs here at UU?
No.
Why did you decide not to join a club or sport?
Honestly, it's busy most of the time. It's on academics more.
What campus building, such as Ackerman or the library, do you tend to spend the most time?
Probably the library. I go there to study sometimes.
What do you feel could be improved about Ackerman?
Well, honestly, I feel like it's pretty well set up and whatnot. I don't have anything that comes to the top of my mind.
And our last question, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not safe and 10 being very safe, how safe do you feel on campus?
Oh, probably like an 8.
Thank you for participating in this interview. To remind you, your answers will be shared with the UU president and administration. Do you have anything else? To say or share any questions?
Oh, no particular.
Thank you.
breath, and when you're ready to switch.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Kinchy, and thanks for participating in this interview. This interview is regarding getting some information for UU's questions about how you feel about the campus and the college experience here, and just trying to talk on some things. Do you have any questions before we start?
No, I do not.
All right. So, how long have you been a student here, or what's your year?
I'm a freshman.
Freshman. Okay, good deal. How have you been enjoying UU so far? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least.
Probably an 8.
Okay, good. Now, what's some specific things you like on it? Campus or libraries? What's a big draw?
I like the size of the campus. It's small, so it gets places.
Yeah, it is a pretty compact. You can walk over. Other than that, how likely would you be to recommend you to friends or family if they were interested in college?
Probably an 8, but it depends on like what they're looking for in a college.
What their majors are and such. Now, are you from local or out of state?
I'm from Head River, so I'm about 3 hours away.
All right. So, bit of a trip. Not too bad. And what drew you to UU over other colleges?
I got recruited to the cheer and dance team here, and I knew I wanted to cheer in college, and so it was kind of like a path.
Opportunities called. Now, so you are a part of some clubs and athletic organizations at college. How have you found that?
It's been a really good experience. With like making friends and like getting involved on campus.
All right. Well, that's great. Anything off the top of your head to improve?
I can't.
Yeah, I understand completely. Now, how often do you say use the library and learning centers, things like that?
Pretty often. If I have like a big assignment, I'll go to the library to work.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. And so overall, you've got a pretty positive opinion of EOU, and what things kind of immediately jump to mind? What do you think is kind of the theme of the college that you picked up?
It's like small, like community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And all right, so that is most of our questions here. So thank you for your time and participation. And as I said, this will be probably a administration. And do you have any questions you want to ask me?
No, I know.
All right, well, thank you for your time, and have a good day.
Okay, well, thank you both for getting us started on our interviews of today. We will move to our next pair, which is Wyatt.
Mr. Hernandez, pleasure to meet you. Nice to meet you. And Wyatt Hawkins, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Good to hear. So I appreciate you coming out for this interview today. Just letting you know the purpose of this interview is to gather information from you about your experience at UU thus far. The president and administration would like to know what the perspective of the student might look like. So just so you are aware, this interview is being recorded. Is that all right with you?
That's fine.
Perfect. All right, let's get started. Are there any questions you like to ask before we begin?
No.
All right. So, starting off, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your overall experience at UU thus far?
I think I would rate my overall experience at
Perfect. Are there any flaws that you say you kind of had so far?
I don't think there are many flaws that I could think about. If I were to talk about the environment, I would say the weather. I hate being cold and it's very cold here.
That's fair. LeGrand's pretty notorious for its bad weather. What did you say are some of the best qualities of UAU?
Some of the best qualities would have to be the campus for sure, the athletic department, and the great staff that we have here.
Okay. Hear that. Let's see. Can you elaborate more on maybe some of your experiences so far?
Oh yeah, so like with the weather, I think it's very bipolar. It'll rain for like 2 hours, sunny for 2 hours, and start hailing right after. So it's like you never know how to dress or anything, you know. And like with like the qualities of UAU, the first time I came here, I saw the campus. I noticed the green cut grass. I think our buildings are very spacious, so they make the campus look a lot bigger and neater. The sports teams here, the trainers, the coaches, and the supporters are the best here at UAU. I think UAU produces very high quality athletes, and the staff here as a whole is great. I've made many relationships with my professors, and I've gotten to know them more and more. Everyone here is just super nice and friendly, and that's something I noticed when I first arrived.
I hear that. So I understand you're on the soccer team. Are there any additional extracurriculars that you're a part of?
No, I'm not in any additional ones, but yes, I am on the soccer team.
All right, cool. So can you talk to me about your experience on there so far, maybe some highlights and hardships?
So when we first arrived, we're one of the teams that come very early. So we got here July 31st. We have our preseason in August. So yeah, so when I first got here in July, I met the team. Very nice people. It was my first time meeting them. They welcomed us all with open arms. Some highlights that we had this year were making the playoffs compared to last year. Last year, we just missed out on the playoffs. So it was good to come in and have an impact with the rest of the freshmen and the new transfers. I'd say another highlight we had was we just played Gonzaga recently in February. So it was one of our spring games, and we ended up tying them 1-1. And Gonzaga is pretty good. They're a Division I program, so that's pretty good to play them. Some hardships and sacrifices, I think, it's just most come within the season. You know, you sacrifice like being able to eat and everything. You know,
yeah,
you have to like make sure you're on a good diet, training, like waking up every morning, doing 2-3 a days can be very challenging, but it's all part of the game. It's something that I love. So, and I think I get the most, we all benefit from it. So it's pretty good.
it's good to hear. Let's see. So, how would you rate your living experience at UAU on a scale of 1 to 5?
I would rate it a 5 for sure.
Yeah, you haven't had any issues living in the dorms so far?
I have not had any issues living in the dorms. I think the dorms are pretty cool. It was a new experience for me to come live over here, you know, live away from the family, finally living on my own. I think living in the dorms has taught me a lot about like adulthood, and it helps with like my roommates are very cool. So we're all like pretty close together. We talk every day, help each other. So it's good to have the support from them. And in our hall, I live in North Hall, a bunch of our soccer team freshmen, we all live very close. So we've all have gone very close together. So we end up going to each other's dorms a lot and just hanging out. It just makes the dorm life a lot better.
Have you had any good experience with the UAU staff so far?
Yeah, I've had some great experience with the staff. I've never been in an argument with one of my professors. They're always great with helping out. I would like to shout out to our cooks. I think our cooks are great. They're very friendly and respectful, and I love communicating with them every day. And I think they're underappreciated.
Do you think you're going to return to UAU next year?
Yes, I would like to return here, of course, to play on the soccer team again. And I think I've learned a lot being here, so I'd like to try it out again next year.
Well, I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this interview. We're running a little short on time. Is there any questions, comments, concerns you'd like to add before we wrap up? All right, that concludes this interview. Thank you for coming. Have a great day. Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
All right, and we're ready to quit. Everybody else.
Hello, Wyatt. My name is Milton Hernandez. Thank you for joining me today for this interview. The purpose of this interview is to get your opinion on being a student here at EOU. The president and administration would like to know what the perspective of a student might look like. They are recording this interview. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Do you have any questions or uncertainties about this interview before we start?
You ready to start?
Perfect. Okay, so before we start, do you mind telling me your age, grade you're in, and what brought you to EOU?
My name is Wyatt Hawkins. I'm from Baker City, Oregon. I'm 19, and I came to EOU because it was nearby, close to home. It was cheap, and also for the athletics.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, what is your major?
My major is kind of been switching off and on a little bit. At the moment, I'm majoring in cybersecurity. It may be subject to change so far I've been joining.
Okay. You said you were a freshman, correct?
Yes,
Are you living in the dorm?
I am. Yes, I live in North Hall, and so far it's been going great.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, it feels real at home with a lot of people on the track team. So it's a nice experience overall.
Do you plan on attending EOU again next year?
I do, yes. I plan on going back next year and possibly continuing with cybersecurity, like I said before.
Okay. I know that there are dorm rooms for upperclassmen here at EOU. Are you leaning towards staying in one of the dorms or finding another place to stay off campus?
I'll likely end up staying in the dorms just because I'm going for the RA position next year. So if I were to get that position, I'd likely be staying in the dorms.
Okay. And so within your major, do you feel as if your professors are doing good at their jobs?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, I haven't really had any issues. I do sometimes have a little trouble understanding what I'm trying to say sometimes. Maybe a little confusing coding and all that.
Yeah, no, that can happen. If you had to rate our staff 1 through 3, 1 being bad, 2 being okay, and 3 being good, what would you rate them?
It's probably say maybe a 2. Majority of them are really, really friendly and are more than happy to help me out when I need it. Every once in a while, I run into a few little hiccups here and there.
Are you in any clubs?
Yes, I am in the ski and snowboard club. We actually went to Canada back in winter term, which was a really cool trip. Enjoyed it so far.
Oh, I didn't know there was a ski club here. So are you in any sports teams?
I am. I run track and field for EOU, sprinter.
Okay, so how is your track season going for you?
It's been pretty good so far. I love the team. Everyone's had a pretty good season throughout the year. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to compete because I blew my hamstring during the season already. So you're kind of sitting out, but overall, it's been pretty good.
Well, that's sad to hear. Well, it does sound like track is going great, and I would love to hear that. So, but going back to you being a freshman, I know that they were required to have a meal plan. Could you tell me your thoughts on that?
Overall, I like it pretty well. Usually it's pretty good food, although not gonna lie, over the weekends sometimes quality dips a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, overall, I've been satisfied.
Okay. So how do you feel EOU compares to other colleges?
I feel like it does a good job of what it's trying to accomplish, being a more rural area, or a rural college. It gives opportunities for people with lower incomes, and also just it's a nice experience to be in a smaller town sometimes.
Yes, that makes sense. So overall, would you say you lean positive or negative?
It's definitely more positive. I enjoy the classes. I enjoy the people here. Overall, it's just really good.
And well, that's great to hear. We hope you can continue to be good for you. Well, thank you, Wyatt, for participating in this interview. Your time is greatly appreciated. This interview was to gain an insight on the UNDIU school from a student's perspective. Do you have any questions about our viewers you'd like to share before we are set away?
I think so.
Perfect. I hope to see you next time, Wyatt. I look forward to it.
See you next time.
So to wrap up, we have a trio of Mark, Thomas, and Louis. I have structured that trio to kind of set it up so that we have a total of 3 interviews. So I'll let you all kind of decide what order you'd like to go in. We'll hear 3 interviews using the group folks.
My name is Mark Church. I would like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to participate in this interview. I'll be conducting this interview to gain information about your experience at UNU. This interview will be shared with UNU President and administration. Do you have any questions before we begin?
I do not.
What is your name?
My name is Thomas Ogden.
What year?
I'm currently a freshman.
What is your major?
I am a health and human performance major with a concentration in exercise science.
What career are you interested in pursuing?
I've thought about a couple of different things like personal training or physical therapy and stuff like that.
Is there any specific reason that made you choose this major?
Not really. I've always been interested in sports, so the way the body works and all that stuff has always been kind of interesting.
Do you live in the dorms on campus?
I do, yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being bad and 10 being excellent, how would you rate your experience living in the dorms?
I rate it a solid 8.
Would you recommend living in the dorms to incoming students?
I would, even though it's kind of expensive. I know for me personally, I've made a lot of meaningful connections there already in my first year. And so I think it's a great way to get to know people and kind of connect with people that aren't in your classes.
Where are you initially from?
I'm from Boise, Idaho.
Was your previous high school a large school or relatively small?
It was pretty big. I was on one of the bigger schools in Boise. So coming here is pretty similar in size. So I'm pretty used to that.
Do you prefer a smaller school or like UU or a larger school?
I prefer a smaller school just because I feel like everyone can kind of get to know each other better, and the community here is a lot more tight knit than I feel like at like a bigger university. So I really value that as well.
What made you decide to attend UU?
After one of my cross country races, the head cross country coach came up to me and talked to me about coming and running here, and ultimately visited the school, and I enjoyed the team and I really liked it. And I liked the size of the campus, size of the school, and the location of it too.
Are you participating in clubs or extracurricular activities at UU?
I'm on the cross country and track and field team.
How's your season been so far?
It's been pretty good. It's definitely been an adjustment running longer distances than I'm normally used to racing, but I'm better at that sort of thing, and so it's been pretty good.
How would you describe the athletic and academic facilities?
I think they're pretty good. I know for at least the academic facilities, we have a lot of resources to help each other, like the Learning Center and the library. And I've used them a couple of times, and they've been very helpful to me. And as well as having the field house for athletics, it's been very useful in the winter, especially when it gets cold.
What's your experience been like with your classes so far?
So far, it's been pretty positive. I haven't had many issues with professors or people in my classes, so it's been pretty mellow.
Do you feel the professors have done a good or a bad job teaching classes?
I feel like they've done a really good job. I know for my A&P class, our professor's really good and he's really understanding and he really knows what he's teaching, and so that helps a lot, especially with the amount of information you need to know.
Have the professors been available and helpful outside of class?
They have. A couple of times I've gone to the teacher's office hours and I've talked to them and they've been more than willing to help and with any of my questions, anything I need to know.
Have you used any of the university's resources?
I have. I mainly use it just to print stuff off because I don't have a printer, so I just bring my own paper and from there.
Were these resources successful in helping you?
Yes, there were. Otherwise, I'd have to go to the library and print and use a couple of cents or whatever it is to print off there.
How would you describe the students and environment here?
I describe it as pretty positive and pretty tight knit. I know walking around campus, I see a lot of people that I know, and I'll talk to them most of the time, and it's all pretty positive, and it's pretty happy to see each other, and it's pretty enjoyable to be around everyone.
Are there any concerns you have about the services that you
do? Not really, other than the security with the recent like incidences at Polk and the Daugherty Hall. But other than that, everything is pretty good. Do they have any complaints about anything?
And would you recommend UAU for each of the students or possible students?
I would. It's a very good place, very good academically and athletically, and it's a very positive place and located in a very beautiful town and all that.
And to wrap up this interview, do you plan on returning to UAU next year?
I am.
Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Thank you. We will next hear from the second of three interviews.
Hello, my name is Thomas Ogden. Thank you for participating in this interview. The purpose of this interview is to gather information from current UO students about their experience and opinions to help better the university. This interview will be shared with UOU's president and administration. Okay?
Yeah.
Before we begin, do you have any questions?
I do.
First off, what is your name?
My name is Lily Torres.
How many years have you been here?
3 years.
What is your current academic status?
I'm a junior.
Where are you from?
I am from Sunnyside, Washington.
Have you ever lived on campus?
I have lived on campus for the past 3 years.
What has that experience been like?
I did get to like meet new people and like build more connections. I also did stay on campus for like my job, so it was different because coming in my freshman year was like a COVID year, so like it was just a different experience for me at the university. It was just like a new, I guess experience for everyone.
What is your major?
Sociology and American English.
Why did you choose this major?
I chose this major because like I have a passion for like helping people, and I want to go back to my community and like help like those people that were just like my family coming to the States. So I just want to be a resource for people like me.
On a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being terrible and 5 being phenomenal, how would you rate the quality of staff here at UAU?
I'd say a 5. I feel like they could hire more people in certain departments because I do feel like students do suffer from like a lack of staffing here. But I feel like professors do a good job at making sure that like students are getting like the best experience and help and even like going like above and beyond their job.
Do you prefer smaller or larger class sizes?
Maybe smaller because they're more like interactive, and I know some people have like social anxiety or just like have trouble speaking in larger groups. So it will like help with like group think, like it won't happen as much if like there's a smaller group.
Do you use any of the university's learning facilities such as the Learning Center or the library?
I use the library and the learning center.
Are they helpful to you?
I think they are because their like hours are like super, I guess, flexible. Or like you can like look online and you can like book like a tutor for like a certain amount of time. I think they're like a great resource for students and like myself. And I think the staff is like super friendly. Like even if you go out there, they're just like willing to help or like have someone at least like a master in each subject for like just extra help that you may need.
What has your experience here at UU been like?
I feel like when I first came here, I did like experience a little bit of like culture shock because my hometown is like 92% Hispanic, and I just think UU isn't as diverse as I just originally thought. So it was just different than what I was used to.
What is one thing here at UU that you think needs to change in life?
I think something that UU should change is maybe like prioritizing like equity over equality, because I feel like helping and like encouraging like the underserved community is more important than like helping those who like might not need it, and maybe just targeting like those groups of people that like just need a little bit more guidance and push.
What is one thing that you'd like to continue to see or experience here at UU?
Maybe how like interactive and hands-on the professors are, because I know that has helped my experience a lot with like just understanding things in their classwork.
On a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being not at all and 5 being highly recommended, how likely are you to recommend UU to someone?
Maybe like a 4.
Why is that?
Just because like everyone has different needs, and like I don't know if I can like recommend fully without like taking account to like individual perspectives.
Are you part of any extracurricular activities here?
Yeah, I'm part of Residence Live, president of Latino Impact, and I'm working with the United Undocumented Students on campus.
So you have an on-campus job. How is it managing your school work life?
I have 2 on-campus jobs. I'm a barista at the library, and then I'm also the hall coordinator. So I supervise the resident assistants in the dorms. I feel like just like planning, pre-planning, making sure like I'm organized and like what I want to accomplish.
Do you feel safe on campus?
I do. I feel like maybe like increased security would be better, like beneficial for students. But yeah, I think overall.
Have you ever utilized food services here at UU, such as Max Grill or the cafeteria?
Yes, I have.
What was the quality of food there?
I'd say like a solid 3. It could use some improvement, I guess.
Have you been able to make meaningful connections during your time here at UU?
Yes, I have, with like staff, community, and folks.
What has been the most helpful?
Maybe like the extracurricular activity, the classes, and just like coming to college is like an individual experience. So like learning how you get into the community.
Before we wrap up, are you planning on returning to UU next year?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Thank you for taking the time to take this interview. Again, this interview will go to the president of UU in order to help better UU. Thank you and have a good day.
And we will now hear from our final interview today.
Hello, my name is Ruby. I'm going to be asking you a couple questions about your experience at Eastern University. And just a disclaimer, I'm going to provide this information to the president and admission. And it's more just like to get more insight on your experience. But we can start with
My name is Mark Church.
do you have any questions?
Um,
Okay, so how many years have you attended EOU?
This is my first year.
Where do you currently live?
I live in the North Hall dorms on campus.
What is your major?
Currently exercise, health and human performance with a concentration in exercise science.
Do you feel like supported or like welcome that you staff and things?
I haven't had any problems or felt unwanted here, so.
On a scale of 1 to 10, when you said you attended your surgery, how much would you recommend you use to students?
I'd probably say about a 9. I really enjoyed it. I think most people enjoyed it. Only problem some people would have is if they prefer a bigger school, and some people like the big college experience.
And then on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not the biggest and 10 the best, how would you rate your general student?
Say an 8. I haven't had any problems with any students here. I've enjoyed living in the dorms. I've gotten along with everyone in my hall. I haven't really had any problems at all.
Using the same scale, how would you rate your experience with professors?
I would also say about a 7. I've had some really good professors that have done an amazing job teaching the courses, and so. Yeah.
You did mention this is your first year. Why did you choose EOU?
Both my dad and my older sister attended EOU growing up. I came here multiple times, the homecomings, and also I wanted to continue in track. Coaches here showed interest, gave me a spot on the team. So.
Yeah. So using like your previous knowledge with like your family connections, do you think it made the transition easy into college?
Yeah, I would say so.
What is your most memorable experience here?
It would probably be my first college track meet. Pretty excited. Definitely a lot different than high school track meets. Got to compete with athletes that are on a whole nother level. It's really exciting and fun.
Do you think you'll continue to with track?
Yes.
What resources are you aware of?
I know they have the learning center in the library, printer in the math hall.
Yeah. Do you utilize anything?
I used the writing tutors during my writing classes since it was required. Other than that, I mainly just used the library to go and work on homework and study.
What has your experience with like the test?
It's been decent. The food is pretty average. You know, I haven't had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Do you feel like they can improve anything?
I mean, their service isn't bad. Sometimes the food's a little rough, but besides that, I don't think they're doing a bad job.
Yeah. How do you feel like the hours are coming in? How often is it?
I feel like they're very reasonable hours. I haven't really had any issues with it being closed or not open early enough. So,
what in your opinion do you think EOU could?
I mean, only thing really is the security. Is we've had some issues with homeless people getting into the dorms, and an incident with the homeless man breaking into the cafeteria.
Could you elaborate more on your experience?
It's been really fun. It's a very unique experience getting to live with people my age, made a lot of friends, and I definitely recommend it to other people. It's really helps force you to meet new people rather than living in a house off campus. Might only meet like the 2 or 3 other roommates you have, but living in the dorms, you get to meet the other 10, 20 people that live in your hallway. It's pretty fun.
You talked about meeting like with people. Are there any like meaningful connections with people?
I definitely built a strong friendship with some of my roommates and people that live next to me in the home. So, and with them living next to me and being on the track team, we spend quite a bit of time together. So, built some strong friendships.
And then just to wrap up here, do you have like any remaining questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, so thank you for your time. Once again, I am going to prepare this information to the EOU's president and admission. And this was more just to like get more insight on what it's like to be here in the week.
Good, thank you.
Wrapped up our interviews for the day. I have a few general comments, notes that I'll have about some of the interviews to share. So thank you all. We are now over halfway done for our survey interviews in the class. I think it's not only a great way for us to practice doing an interview and leading that process. And survey interview is something that professionally a lot of us will be asked to do at some point in our lives. But this is also a great way to get us started and get our feet wet as we start to get into some of the later interviews. I'd imagine a lot of you are excited or have kind of came into this class in part to prepare for something like a job interview, which we'll transition to in a little bit into the term. But this is a great way to get us set up and thinking about how we can utilize interview skills effectively as we get into that. So overall, I thought a lot of these interviews did a great job of using a combination of both closed and open-ended questions, particularly using something like a closed-ended scale question as a chance to gauge somebody's quantitative interest, and then following up with a more open-ended question to explain the reasoning behind that ranking, right? You have limited information. If you're asked to rank something 1 to 10, you don't really know why somebody gave it a 5. So either somebody volunteering or asking somebody to elaborate on that information is a great way to, provide context behind that number. I thought that people did that really effectively. I also appreciated how people were using those early closed-ended questions just to get basic demographic information that did a great job of setting things up for later. And one thing that I kind of encourage across the board is, especially if you've got more time to work with, or you feel like there is a thread that's interesting, like you realize something about a student's experience that you want to learn more about, right? Don't be afraid to use that follow-up question to try to dig a little bit deeper into some of those ideas, right? As an interviewer, really finding that thread and following that a little bit more can be really useful, especially if you have additional time to explore some of those ideas a bit further. Talking about Audrey and Gabriel partners at first, I really appreciated how you all were able to use framing, you were able to use good feedback responses to questions. I like how you were able to discuss a variety of different topics such as clubs and organizations. You both have some more time that you can work with, which is a good opportunity to use a bit more follow-up questions. And also to use a little bit more of clarity with regard to some of these questions. For example, a couple questions were posed kind of a double barred style where there were multiple components or parts of those questions. So just making sure to make your questions as simple and clear as possible is just the thing that will really help the responses be effective and help with a possible follow-up or later question. So with Wyatt and Milton, I really liked using like a handshake as a way to get started, really making it feel like a formal interview, which is really good. I also really liked how you were able to provide on both ends really good substantive responses to questions, and like asking questions aiming at you, I thought were a really good way to kind of present things as well. I noticed as well that, making clear about multi-pronged questions, like again, a couple questions presented in the second interview, had a few other components. One thing to think about overall when you're asking questions in an interview is if you were moving from one type of scale to a different type of scale, like you're asking a 1 to 3, and then you're asking 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, you want to think intentionally about why you're asking on a different scale. So for instance, there was a little bit of like transition. There was this 1 to 3 scale, which could be okay, but a 1 to 3 scale is going to give you kind of limited information and wiggle room. So you might want to think intentionally about doing that, or whether or not a leading question might be better choice. I did really appreciate the leading questions in these interviews too, which do a really good job when you know somebody's response might be likely to be on the best. So talking lastly about the group of three, I really liked, again, the use of open and close-ended questions, the overall style, and presentation of those questions, the way you were able to use rapport, to talk about people's experiences. You know, the Mark and Thomas interview, I thought there was a good understanding of prep, of expectations of the interview. Again, using a little bit more in terms of follow-up questions, and using perhaps a leading scale when you're asking, like, are you having a good or bad experience might be useful. Thomas, in your interview with Luli, I thought there was a really good use of framing, good use of connection and rapport. I really appreciated the interviewee responses from Luli talking about the experiences discussed, particularly discussing kind of the challenges of equity versus quality and the need to have EOU focus more on those areas. Again, I think this is a great area. We're using a little bit more questioning or follow-up to just explore further to give a bit more insight into this perspective. And then in terms of Lily's interview with Mark, I really liked the framing. I really liked how you were using, you said, using the same scale, right? To talk about related questions, to clear. And I really liked your use of framing, such as saying, you did mention this was for your first year. So using kind of that to set up your point. Using a statement to set up your next question can be a really good way to not only explain to your audience like why that question is being asked, but it can also be really good clarity. For example, if Mark were to say, no, I'm actually in my second year, right? That statement is designed to make sure that we got it right. So I really like how clarifying statements can be used there. So overall, across the board, really good work. Thank you all for sharing. So our last interviews will be on Friday and then on Monday. So look forward to that. Please send or pass me your attendance for the day. Have a great rest of your morning, and I will see you again on Friday. Screw it up.
Bye,
Two NPCs That's what I'm saying here with art.
Yeah.
Question. I'm trying to like give detail, so it's hard to get. But I don't like practice. Yeah. Well, do you want to send me your